Here's the question. Are automatic cars or manual cars safer to drive? Growing up, I thought I knew the answer. I thought it was always manual because you need to focus more on the road. But we actually have some data that might prove otherwise. What's going on, guys? This video is actually largely inspired by a blog post from Dr. Peter Attia, a fellow physician who I follow very closely. Now, per CarMax 2020 data, 80+% of vehicles sold in Europe and Asia are actually manual, whereas only 2.4% are stick shift in the US. That's pretty insane. I guess Americans, we're just the kings of convenience. We like easy, automatic. We're kind of lazy compared to the rest of the world, I guess. In terms of which is safer, each have their distinct advantages, right? So with automatics, you can keep both hands on the steering wheels at all times and not have to take your hand off to shift. You can also theoretically be a little bit quicker to respond in stop and go traffic. Manuals, on the other hand, of course, give you greater control over what gear you're in and therefore the power band of your engine. You're not going to automatically shift to a gear when you need that immediate throttle response and that immediate acceleration. But on the other hand, they do require a little bit more going on with your hands and your feet. You need to be pressing the clutch pedal, you need to be using your hands to shift between gears, and there's pros and cons to that, but the pro could be argued that you are less able to be a distracted driver because you're using both hands. You can't be texting and driving as easily. But it's not just the vehicle, it also matters who is driving. So there was this 2021 study comparing driver errors in the elderly and middle-aged drivers. And what they found is that elderly drivers actually made 60% fewer errors related to speed, maneuvering, positioning, adherence to traffic laws, all that stuff, when driving automatic versus manual transmission vehicles. But when you look at middle-aged individuals, there's no difference between automatic and manual. So the theory here is that as an elderly driver, you don't have as much mental capacity compared to those who are younger, and therefore the focus and the energy and the attention required to shift your own gears is actually a source of distraction because it's taking up resources, that limited resource they have for attention, to other things on the road. But on the other hand, they found the opposite in younger drivers. So young drivers that had ADHD showed that driving a manual could actually improve attentiveness and reduce driving errors. So manual transmission vehicles might be safer for those who are more prone to distracted driving. Those are, of course, most prominently teenagers and those in the early 20s because they have the highest reported use of cell phones while driving and also the highest percentage of drivers involved in fatal accidents with distracted driving as a root cause. So what it comes down to is that who is driving is arguably just as, if not more important than the actual transmission type that the vehicle has. So as for my take, I find from my experience that driving manual, it actually eggs me on to drive more aggressively. And I'm not sure if that's partly because usually when I'm driving manual, I'm driving a sports car, or if just rowing your gears, going from fourth, double clutching down into third, it feels sportier regardless of the vehicle, and it's more fun to then push the car a little bit harder. So I do drive a little bit more chill when I'm in my automatic Mazda CX-50. The other thing is the more you drive manual, the more automatic it becomes for you. So then just double clutching from fifth to fourth, standard rev match down to third, it's all very easy, very automatic. And at that point, it's not really a distraction. It's not really requiring more focus and attention and energy from me, and I'm able to focus on other things on the road. The traffic laws, my surroundings, the car that's hanging out of my blind spot as these lanes merge. So keep that in mind when the studies are looking at distraction levels or attention, things like that. How experienced are those drivers in driving stick shift? Because if you're in your first few months, that's very different than if you've been driving stick shift for 10 plus years as I have. You also have to remember that research by design has to be done over populations. That's how you achieve statistical significance, and you're not just relying on anecdotes. But so when you have a large enough sample size, you're going to see trends between automatic and manual transmission safety. But there are so many other factors that are just far more important. It's more of an individual specific thing, in my opinion. So as an example, doing autocross and track days has made me such a much safer driver overall because A lot of people, especially people that drive fast on the roads, they don't understand the limits of their car and how close they are to the limit of grip, to understeer, to oversteer, and to braking limits of their vehicle at any given moment. You have people tailgating at 80 miles an hour on the highway. It's just not safe. So things like that are going to make you a safer driver. And my overall recommendation is drive what you enjoy. I enjoy driving stick shift. It's more engaging. Even puttering around town like I am right now, just, downshifting and rolling my own gears is more engaging and more rewarding. So understand that the choice of transmission in your vehicle is a very small factor in your overall driver safety. It's ultimately your choice. Do you want to be a distracted driver on your phone, regardless of whether you're in a manual or automatic transmission vehicle? Do you want to be driving super aggressively? Do you want to be a more defensive driver, as we all should be? Those are the decisions that you're going to make that happen regardless of which transmission you're actually driving. So I like to do manual transmission in my sports car, automatic in my daily, but I'm curious, what do you guys think? Which one is safer, automatic, manual, or does it not really matter? Much love, my friends. Subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.